So we have a situation with an individual today. His name is CohhCarnage. He's working on a game as the producer of the game. Tons of combat, a massive procedural dungeon, creative building, town progression, NPCs with their own quests, tons of loot, and fishing, and so much more. Let's take a look at it right here. It's called Emberville.
Hi, everybody. My name is CohhCarnage. It's very good to see you.
Hi.
And I have some stuff to talk about today. As you guys know, I've been streaming on Twitch for about 10 years.
That's
and
a while.
in that time, we have done all sorts of other things on this channel. One thing that I've always really wanted to dive into is game dev. I've tried it a couple times in the past, and it has come with mixed results. However,
The reason I don't do game development is because I got a C in programming.
I am back in real attempt number 3 to try to bring you guys something that I don't necessarily think is just special, but more is something I really would love to
Is this like a real one? That's crazy.
play myself. Some very quick background before we continue. I was approached a while ago now, months ago, by somebody who was a fan of the channel and said, you know, I've been watching you for a long time, and I understand your philosophy and what you like to play, how you like to work, and understanding your limitations, we want you to be involved in our project. The project that they introduced to me had a relatively verbose demo. It had a very good idea about what it wanted to be, but it was still relatively early in development. Still had years left to go. And what they wanted to do is bring me in as a producer to not only help make the game as good as it could, but to help kind of shape some of the core mechanics, kind of help design some of these things, and frankly make it something incredible. So, that being said, I would like to introduce you
Oh shit, here we go.
to Emberville.
All right, we get to watch the trailer right here. Damn, that must be a really small planet. Was that a jetpack or something else? Okay, here we go. Kill it. Okay. I like the fact that they have health bars and numbers. I love numbers. I love health bars. All right, good. This is coming out for the Super Nintendo. I'm very excited. Okay, so like the little flame thing actually attacks things for you. Hold up. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, remind me, Link to the Past, yeah. We didn't get one.
That, my friends...
Oh, get the damn fish!
That, my friends, is the very, very early look at Emberville. So, what Emberville is, and it now is a page on Discord.
Please.
Okay.
What Emberville is it is this new cool take on kind of what a Stardew Valley would look like if it leaned far more into the combat, was more...
Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God, bro. Oh, God, yes. More killing, yes. More killing, yes. All right.
more of a darker tone, and more importantly, had a giant, thoroughly fleshed out procedural dungeon in which you then go into, you farm, you progress, you rescue people, you build a town. And frankly, it's just this really interesting, deeper look at everything I've kind of liked about these games, but in a more fleshed out, more kind of deep tone. So I want to point out a few things. First of all, the sound effects you just heard, all placeholder. These are all placeholder sound effects. This is all just kind of to get the game out there. and kind of go from there, which is pretty cool. So also, I saw some people asking about some stuff in chat. So this here, well, you know what? Let's kind of do this. Let's do this. I wasn't going to do this, but you know what? Now that we're doing this, I want to do this. Let's talk about this game.
Yeah.
While we watch the trailer, and we'll kind of be able to a little bit more.
That's a good one.
You know, I'll let you in on what's going on here. So first of all, a couple things. Let's talk about what this game is. So Emberville itself is basically this game where you wake up having no idea what's going on. You don't know why you are where you are, and you are trying to figure that out in the course of kind of exploring this new world.
Okay.
This is a combat-heavy game. Not only is...
Thank God. Oh, bro, thank God. I was so worried. I was so afraid.
It's a combat-heavy game, but you will have multiple different weapon types. There will be multiple skill trees. There's a full inventory. There's lots of loot. Now, we actually already have the UI and the inventory stuff. All that's done, but we did not put that in the trailer yet because we're still figuring out how that's all going to look. You also notice there's that little thing flying next to you. That's the mementos. That plays into all sorts of interesting stuff as well. Also has some customizability, plays into the story a lot. It's some very cool stuff.
The fire.
So, we're doing some very cool things with this game that I'm extremely excited to do.
So this is like a boss or some shit. Like, this is what I want to see more of, right? Like, I've always wanted a game that was like my favorite game growing up, one of my favorite games was Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Okay? Like, that game, in my opinion, like, y'all gotta remember, like, back in the day, let me see if I can pull some of this shit up. Maybe some of this. This, right here. Yeah, I remember this when I was a kid. Like, this shit was dark. Like, it wasn't any of this, like, pussy shit that they got going on now. Like, this used to be serious, bro. Like, look at this. This shit was not like a joke, bro. This was real shit. That's Ganon. And he's hiding. Twilight Princess? Yeah. You know why Twilight Princess happened? Because everybody that grew up on this game saw Wind Waker and they said, what the fuck? They said, hold up, wait a minute, what? Wait. What you trying to say? Nope. That's the thing. And so, like, whenever I see this kind of a game, it really makes me excited for that reason. So, yeah, like, I see this on the gritty Zeldas. Yeah, like, it used to be gritty. It used to be brutal, man. Like, especially, like, I just really... It used to be a whole vibe, man. This was, like, the same time that, like, you know that movie, The Dark Crystal? Legend with Tom Cruise, Willow. Like, this is like right off the heels of Conan the Barbarian. This was the real shit. Anyway.
Very cool things with this game that I'm extremely excited to do. For instance, like what I like to call procedural QOL and things like that. This is all stuff I've talked about on stream that I've talked about always wanting to see implemented in games, but I've never done it yet. So I'm very excited in doing this. Somebody said, are you a dev? Are you backing it? I'm a producer on this game.
Smart.
So let's talk about that real quick. What am I doing in this game? Every week I meet with the team for generally an hour or more. What I do is I learn exactly what's been done that week during what's called a sprint. We help plan out what's going to be in the next sprint, and I go over and give feedback on pretty much everything that's happened so far in that game. I have already seen implemented things that we have talked about, prototyped, and then put into the game. It is awesome, and the team behind it is fantastic. So they're a very fast-working, very dedicated team, and it's going very well so far. Second of all, what is this game? This game, so far, is going to be $25. It is going to have an open EA development cycle with community feedback. Think Subnautica.
EA Early Access.
Baldur's Gate 3. There will be 0 microtransactions, and it will have a discount when it does go into EA with enough to really sink your teeth into when we get to that point. You cannot buy this game now, for the record. And we are not going to let you buy this game into EA until we have something that's like really something fun and interesting that you can sink your teeth into.
That's very smart for them to do. Not really from a community perspective, but from a perspective. And what I mean by that is that whenever a game first comes out, that's what the game is. So, like, if your first impression of the game is bad, then the game is bad. That's it. So, like, they should wait until the game actually has a playable demo that is robust to a degree that makes it exciting and fun to play. I think Diablo 4 had enough of that gameplay that really actually, like, in a weird way, like, am I crazy for saying this? The Diablo 4 beta was better than the Diablo 4 game. Now, I think Diablo 4 in Season 2 is better than it was even in the beta, but the beta was really, really good, man. I really enjoyed the beta a lot. It was super fucking fun. So, yeah. And also that beta carried the game. Think about how many hype videos me, Quinn, fucking Zizerain, like 50 other people made about Diablo 4.
You can wishlist this game. So if you are interested in following along with the development, again, we do have a Steam page up, and we would love for you to wishlist the game and you know, let us know you're interested. So you can do that by just going down and add it to your wish list, like I just did. But yeah, that's going to be big. So there will be controller support. Absolutely. Yes. No, this game has no blockchain, Web3, or NFT integration of any kind.
Somebody, you know, his heart's been broken multiple times, huh? Yeah, there we go.
And we do not plan on doing any of that either. Will it be coming to consoles? That is further down the road. So let's talk about this real quick.
It's harder to get a game out on console than it is on PC.
Shooting for early access early next year.
Okay.
Now, there are going to be some...
That's really soon, by the way. That's crazy soon. That could be in, like, 3 months. Because you got to remember, like, it's almost November now. So, yeah, that could be in the end of January, the end of February.
Core components of the game missing at that point. And we were, of course, going to be very clear about what you will get. But the thing about early access, the thing about this game in general, is that we are taking an approach to this game because not only do we want to with the game itself, but also I'm in a unique position for this. We are taking the approach of this game where we are helping the community decide what this game becomes. The best way that I can say that is when I was talking to Bryn, who's the guy that kind of brought me on board. He had this very specific, interesting example where Unknown Worlds, the makers of Subnautica, early in the development process, when they were having feedback on their demos, somebody asked the Subnautica devs, "Why don't I have food and water in this survival game?" And the Subnautica devs kind of went,
"Nani?
Is this a survival game? Is that how this should work?" And then that started off this basically change into what Subnautica is today. And what Subnautica is today is absolutely freaking awesome.
That's interesting. I think it's always important, like, whenever you're taking community feedback, I think that it's important to make sure that you have your own North Star that your development is based off of. But at the same time, it's important to listen to player feedback too. Like, whenever I hear somebody says, like, oh, we need to develop the game with the community, like, that's good, but it does also concern me because I think to myself, like, how sure are they of their own vision? And I think also, like, sometimes you can be very sure of your vision, and then you can be like, you know what? The community has a better vision. Let's change it and do that instead. And there have been a lot of cases where that's happened. But, like, all I'm saying is that there is a little bit of concern, but I think if it's done right, it's a very big positive.
So that's kind of what we're doing with Emberville. We have the core idea of what this game is. And then what we're going to do is, based on the path of EA, as we do major updates, as we continue to develop it, we are going to be taking community feedback and basically turning it into the best version of itself that it can be.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody says it's only being said for a PR reason. I understand that you think that you're smart, and I'm sorry to let you know that this whole thing is PR. Him announcing the game on his stream is PR. Him showing the trailer is PR. Everything about this is made to promote the game. You're not smart for acknowledging that. It's common sense. No shit, it's PR.
So, what we have so far, this is an action-heavy game. There is a full creative build element to the game. So, as you'll see here, you know, combat is fast. Combat is going to be customizable. Okay. There will be different weapon types.
Ooh,
there will be different ways to play it.
It looks like he also
but at the heart, like, there's going to be...
It looks like he's taking different types of damage, too. Like, it looks like this is fire damage, and there's also, like, physical damage. Why should I play a game in early access, give additions what they could make? In the end, other players have better experience. I don't get anything from it. Why should I care and give my opinion? I don't know, because you like it. Yeah, I think, yeah, because people like it. Like, yeah, because you want it to be a good game. I don't know, like, you shouldn't, like, I think should is the wrong, it's the wrong way to frame the idea. You shouldn't do anything you don't want to do. Yeah, you shouldn't do anything. Just, yeah, like, what do you mean? It's such an annoying question. Yeah, just do what you want to do.
Like, this is a combat-focused game.
Uh-huh.
These are some of the different environments which we plan to vary and have lots of different things to see. And one specific part I want to come up with and talk about is this part right here. So check this area out.
Yeah, this is where he teleports.
It's kind of like a general outdoor area. He's clearing out stuff and stuff like that. That's the same area. So one aspect of this game is that there's going to be a part of this game that you can basically customize, turn into, and make whatever you want to. Now, what's awesome about this is, obviously the next question is, where do you get all the materials? And all the blueprints and stuff like
Probably
that?
out of the dungeon,
Hold on to that thought. As you go down, you'll see here's another variant of the exact same area. So it's very much going to be like your area to develop.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's no way that I was going to be involved in a game like this
without fishing,
if it didn't have a very extensive fishing system, which we do plan on making very extensive.
Great.
Oh, get the damn fish!
So, the cool thing about this game is here's how it works. There's big chunks of this game that you didn't see yet. So here's what's going on. Here's what's going on. The part that you saw right there is kind of like the creative building area. But there's another part of this area that is going to be more of a progressive, like a progressive building system. So there's this town.
Right.
And I can't talk about this too much yet because we're going to let players explore this. But basically, kind of like how you have your farm in Stardew Valley and then there's the town. It's kind of like what it is here.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle of this town is this kind of giant crystal called the Vitromos. And what that giant crystal is,
didn't we see that?
For you guys, is a giant procedurally generated world.
Okay.
For my Path of Exile players, think a delve map, but each map is like its own area with its own loot, its own monsters, its own little unique events. Now, inside of this giant procedural dungeon is going to be tons of things to find, tons of things to do, bosses, townspeople to rescue, things you need to do to restore the town. And as you do this, you will not only be progressing stories, meeting new characters, doing quests, progressing a main story, but you will also be doing all sorts of things to help build your world, build your character, get better equipment, make better potions, like tons and tons of different things to kind of progress your entire world forward. We're also experimenting with this kind of progressive QOL mechanic. You know, maybe you don't start the game with a mini-map, but then you rescue a cartographer, and then he gives you a mini-map. And then as you progress his quests, all of a sudden your very basic Vitromos map starts getting more and more detailed. You start getting more paths and know where to go. You start being able to find more things.
Okay.
At the very beginning of the game, maybe sorting is kind of a pain. Maybe there is no auto-sort. But then as you get characters in your town, maybe you get auto-sort. Maybe that leads into auto-bank. Maybe that...
I'll be very curious, like, you know, that idea sounds very cool, but I'm also very reluctant of locking QOL behind upgrades in the game because it could initially turn players off to the point to where they don't reach the point where they get the QOL. And like, I think a really good example of this is the ground dodge off of Lies of P. So like you like in Bloodborne, you can dodge off of the ground immediately whenever you start the game, but in Lies of P, you have to progress the game for at least probably 3 hours or so, I'd say, maybe a bit longer, in order to have the option to unlock the ground dodge from the quartz systems. And I think that did make the experience kind of worse, and after playing through Lies of P entirely, I wish that we had another bonus and quality of life and functionality gameplay like that just makes the game feel much better to play was available from the beginning. So I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad idea, because I think that with these types of games, they have very much an aesthetic to them. And there's like a vibe of these games. So I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but like whenever I hear this, I usually think of like the worst possible outcome. You know, I think about the negative things more than the positive things, right? Lore reason also. What about Sekiro, Miriki Counter? Well, I think Miriki Counter is a bad example because you don't encounter NPCs that do Miriki counters or Miriki attacks before you get the ability. Does that make sense? So, like, for example, it would be one thing if, like, every other boss you do, but, like, not really, though, right? You do who? Who? The spear guys? Okay, so one guy. The giant spear guy? You don't fight him. Like, bro. What? Everyone's saying that that stupid didn't level up when I got the chance. Yes, you get Miriki counter 5 minutes into the game. Yeah, like what the fuck? That's like the worst example I've ever heard. So anyway, oh god, every spear guy. Yeah, there's some of them, but like that's about it. And so anyway, the point that I'm making is that I think that locking quality of life and functionality upgrades like storage stuff behind playing the game for a long period of time, all I'm going to say with that is that I hope that it's front-ended, where like you see a lot of that stuff very early on in the game. So you don't have to play, like, let's say theoretically halfway through the game in order to unlock some sort of like core functionality. I think that could be very frustrating. Like if you're unlocking all of this within the first 5 hours of gameplay, then I think it's pretty much fine. But it depends on like how long it takes. And also like, I think players will, and this sounds like kind of stupid, but I think players do this a lot. It's better to never give a player the option to not have quality of life. Like, always just give it to them. Like in Lies of P, for example. A lot of people probably didn't take the ground dodge because they thought, oh, I won't need that. So players will, like, intentionally make their experience worse because of that. Yeah, or they just don't go for it. So, yeah, just give it to them, like, wholesale. That's basically the main thing I was going to say. I can't believe Sekiro is still $80 on Steam, is it? I don't know. Systems like this are actually basic stuff for roguelikes, so it's totally fine in this game. Yeah, I mean, so like for Delve, for example, like whenever you open up Delve, you can see all the different areas that are like nearby. Like if there's an old somewhere nearby, you can see him. If there's like a Vol city, you can see that. So like if you open up the map, you have like a resonator that like shows you, like, and maybe you make the resonator bigger and you can see where you want to progress through. This is very interesting. Because I do think a lot of people that are PoE players are positive about Delve.
Leads into items banking directly when you go to town automatically. So it's like this interesting idea of you start the game with kind of a more tediousness, kind of gamified version, but then as you get towards the end of the game, then you start seeing more and more of this stuff become like automatic and things like that. Now, again, I do need to say that this is a game that is in relatively early development.
Yeah.
We do want to get the base part of the game prototyped and NEA early next year, but we're expecting another couple years plus of development after that.
Okay.
This will be a when it's ready game. We will not be asking you for funding, and if we do need more for any reason, we will get it ourselves. So it is not a game where you can expect to have a rushed, half-assed version out at any point. It is going to be a game that is going to be something that is special. It will be done when it's done. When it hits 1.0, it's going to be rock solid. And all of this was a big part of me joining the project as a whole. So I am very, very excited, and frankly, just I'm so pleased.
Applause, if you
on
please.
This project. I do want to thank the team at Cygnus Cross for including me in this. It is for those that don't know, this is the game called Emberville. You can now find it on Steam for those that are asking. There's an Emberville command, by the way, that I'll be popping my title, and that has links to the Discord. It has links to the video we're making right now. It'll be on YouTube in just a little bit, and yeah, it's gonna be great. Bombadil says, is there any way to give money, though? I would like to support something that you're behind. First of all, Bombadil, that is super cool of you. Second of all, no. We will accept money for this product when we enter early access and we feel that we have something that is a good...
Yeah, they don't need to worry about it. I mean, there's a lot of funding and development money for games, and sure. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Indication of where the game is going. At that point, we're going to be very open about what you'll be getting, and at that point, that will be the purchase of the game. As a reminder, this game is not going to be more than $25.
There it is.
And we are planning on giving a discount on that price if you plan on jumping in on EA. It will be available, like I said, probably early next year, but it may not. It may be longer if we want to do that.
Yeah,
so
sure.
that's how that works. No, but we are not looking for investment. We are not looking for any type of resources from the community. The only thing we want from you is to enjoy this game when it's out. That's it. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. And that's where we are. So anyway, I really appreciate you watching. This is the first video of updates we'll be doing for this. One of the things that we'll be doing is as this game progresses, we'll be making more and more videos like this. If there's the plan kind of is to get it to EA and then do like major updates. So like EA might be version 0.5.
Sure.
You know, the first major update that adds a procedural dungeon might be 0.6. Then we may do a whole skill and weapon upgrade 0.7, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
As we do those updates, we'll make more videos like this, kind of going over the patches, going over the progress, you know, going over your ideas.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't think asking for like fan funding is a bad thing. I don't think so. But there have been a lot of games that have been not released that had fan funding, and it gave a lot of people hesitation and pause. So, like, if you're trying to build trust with people and you're asking for fan funding, this can be problematic.
Showing you what's been implemented from community feedback, how that whole thing's going to work. It's going to be a very inclusive process, kind of with the community. So we are very much looking forward to telling you more and kind of and doing that. The goal for this game, from my perspective, is I have been saturated in the game dev environment for 10 years. And my plan is to try to make the game dev process for this game pretty much as just rock solid as it can be. Just total transparency, trying to do everything right, trying to get you meaningful updates, trying to get the whole thing, you know, everything's on the table, well priced for what it is, you know, not trying to make any types of promises we aren't going to fulfill. It's you know, I feel like it's on a really good track, and I think it's going to be, frankly, pretty awesome, which is why I signed up with it. So that's where we are right now, and I hope you enjoy Emberville. We'll see you at the channel, twitch.tv/CohhCarnage. As always, thanks for your time, and see you later.
So that seems pretty good. I mean, I would say the game trailer and everything looked pretty clean to me. Like, you know, we'll go back and take a look at a little bit of it and just, you know, go through it. I feel like this looked decent enough. What did you guys think about it? Not a fan of these types of games. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, not everybody's gonna like every game. I'm just saying, like, in general, for me, I like this style of game. Yeah, this is interesting, especially if it's combat focused, you know? It's nice atmosphere. Yeah, and it's also, I mean, you've got to keep in mind, they said it's not going to be out for like 2 years, so they've got a lot of stuff they need to improve and do probably in that time, obviously, right? Looks promising. Yeah, reminds you of Super Nintendo. Yeah, I think that's kind of the goal, to be honest with you. But yeah, the combat looked really cool. That's some of the main things that I like. And just like having more games that are like this is always a positive to me. It's always reassuring to have a proper gamer behind the team. Yep, exactly. Looks like a mix of Vampire Survivors and Stardew Valley. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's like a lot of auto attacks except for like this weird like fire thing. But other than that, everything else seems to happen on its own. Sound effects or Dota 2 sound effects? Yeah. Yeah, those are all placeholders, apparently. Looks really good, but there's already a ton of them like this. Yeah, I mean, if there's a ton of them, then it means it's probably something that people like. I'll link you guys the video right there.